The Chiefs are the new golden standard of the NFL, the new Patriots to be exact. But who are the top 10 biggest threats to the Kansas City Chiefs?
Let's talk football.
Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast, where sports are everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are going over my top 10 biggest threats to the Kansas City Chiefs next season. This is a list that I've been waiting for a while. I've been waiting to do it since the Super Bowl ended, and because the Chiefs are the new golden standard of the NFL. We know what Mahomes is, but I've created this top 10. I put in 5 teams from the NFC and 5 teams from the AFC because I believe that it's got to go both ways if you're going to threaten the Chiefs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please be sure to do me a big favor and smash the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, let me know who you guys think is the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the comments below. If there one on my top 10 that you could agree with or disagree with. But we're going to get into that. For now, let's get this list started. At number 10 is the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans faced off against this team last year in the playoffs. But had a few controversial calls called against them. The roughing the passer on Will Anderson Jr. and then that unnecessary roughness hit from Will Anderson Jr. also where he hit his own teammate, which I could see the Texans' case in that way. But that's not the reason I'm looking at this. The reason I'm looking at the Texans is look at their offensive core. They have Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Justin Watson, Christian Kirk, Damian Pierce, and they also have a two good tight ends, Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover. Can you imagine if they draft former CJ Stroud teammate Emeka Egbuka? Could you imagine? And Stroud has been arguably the best quarterback in the NFL for recent years. He has been good. The offensive line killed him last year. So I believe they're going to use their first round pick on an offensive lineman. But if they get offensive linemen and get the right weapons for CJ Stroud, which I believe they already have, then this team could be one of the biggest threats to the Chiefs next year, which is why I have them at number 10. Coming in at number 9, you got the frozen tundra, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers and Chiefs met up, and the Packers actually beat the Chiefs in Lambeau Field. And the main reason I look at this team is because they were able to beat the Chiefs at home in the frozen tundra. Normally, teams that face the Chiefs at home, some don't always beat them. When I look at the Chiefs, this is a team that scares me when they play because they are outstanding. They have the offense to do what they can do. They have the defense that can punch you in your skull. They have that secondary that can lock down Tyreek Hill, that can lock down Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. They have the secondary that can lock you down. And if you can't get into receivers, that is going to put a lot more pressure on Patrick Mahomes when he faces against the Packers, which is why I have the Packers at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens, they would have been higher, but the main reason I look at the Ravens as number 8 is because they struggled against the Chiefs.
I don't fear you.
Then you will die braver than most.
Especially Lamar Jackson against that defense. They had the opportunity against the Chiefs in the AFC title game. And many people could argue if Zay Flowers doesn't fumble that ball, they probably win that game. The defense of the Baltimore Ravens held them scoreless in the second half. You had opportunities to get yourself back in this game. And you, Lamar, have to be looked at and say, oh, man, this guy's had a lot of opportunities. He does not have that statement win in the playoffs. He just does not. He has to have a statement win in the playoffs. And that AFC Championship was that statement win. But if they're going to be higher, Lamar Jackson has to be able to play well against Patrick Mahomes, which is why I have the Ravens at number 8. Coming in at number 7, you got the Minnesota Vikings, my dark horse from last year. Now, the Vikings, they have been outstanding. They have been busy in free agency, both trading for Jordan Mason.
Did you forget who I am?
Who I believe was worth a second or third round pick. Also, you went out there and got Javon Hargrave. You went out there and got Jonathan Allen, Will Fries to add up to that offensive line. This team has great potential. They have amazing potential. And the Vikings, I'm looking at them and saying, hey, this team could threaten the Chiefs because they got the defense that can lock you down. They have that defense. And I believe they'll go out there and get another corner in the draft. Maybe like a Jahan Barron, Nick Amaware, maybe possibly Siobhan Revel, maybe one of those guys. But if they get this draft pick right on the defensive side, the Vikings could be a big threat to both the Chiefs and the Eagles, which is why I have them at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, although they're 0-4 against the Chiefs in the playoffs, they have had the number against the Chiefs in the regular season. Josh Allen is 3-1 against Mahomes in the regular season. But when it comes time for the playoffs, he just is not ready for the big moment.
You were right about one thing. This ends now.
When I look at the Bills, I look at one thing that was the main differentiating factor. Both the drop by Dalton Kincaid and the defense. If they can go out there and nail this pick right. Now, I had them going James Pierce Jr. in the draft. In some of my mock drafts I've had this year. But they need defensive lineman, defensive tackle, and they need a corner. They need somebody that can lock down the weapons. Because when you're going against Mahomes, Josh Allen's had the opportunities against Mahomes. He's had the opportunities. The first time they met up was the first time that they lost to the Chiefs. The second time, you were 13 seconds away and you allowed him to get down the field in 13 seconds. And then the second time that you faced him was in the divisional round at your house. Kicked the missing field goal, reminding us of that Super Bowl you lost to the New York Giants. Then, this past season, you had a chance. You had multiple chances. Not just on the defensive side to stop Mahomes. You also had some on the offensive side. You also had a lot of opportunities to put this game away. You had the lead at one point. If you're Josh Allen, you got to keep that lead. And the defense has to do their job. So, in the Bills case, I have them at number 6 because of those reasons. Coming in at number 5 is the Washington Commanders. The Commanders. I put this team on here because the Commanders have a scary offense. They have Jaden Daniels, the scariest offensive quarterback in the NFL. They have the scariest offensive core. You got Scary Terry, Debo. You got Brian Robinson Jr. You got Zach Ertz, Noah Brown. You got the weapons to get you there on the offense. Defense still needs some work done. But if they can get this right, if they can go out there in the draft, get some defensive guys to help that defensive rush, they could be a threat to the Chiefs. Because if they would have won that game against the Eagles, maybe they would have won the Super Bowl. Who knows? But that is why I have the Commanders at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is their in-division rival, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos. They shored up that defense last year. They shored it up with the addition of Dre Greenlaw and Taliu Funga. The main reason I look at the Broncos as a big threat and the second biggest threat in the AFC is they have the defense that can lock down Mahomes. And remember, if it wasn't for that blocked field goal in that week 9 game, they probably would have beaten the Chiefs. They would have beaten them, and they would have swept them. And I'm looking at the offense. They still need a few more weapons. They need a new running back after they let go of Javonte Williams to the Cowboys. But I'm looking at this Broncos team. I'm looking at that defense and saying, this defense can lock down Mahomes. And this is a team that the Chiefs are going to have to face twice a year. This Broncos team is better than I've ever seen it before. Even before the Peyton Manning days. This is the scariest defense I have ever seen from the Broncos. And who knows, maybe a reunion's in order for Von Miller. I don't know about that. But if they can go out there and get some more offensive guys, they are going to be the scariest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, not just for a spot in the playoffs, but maybe even for the division. And that's why I have them at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the Detroit Lions. I know they just let go of their offensive and defensive coordinators, but they are still one of the scariest teams to the Chiefs. They still have that defense that can lock you down. They still got that offense that can cook you up. They have the most dangerous running back duo in the league with Sonic and Knuckles. They are a scary team to the Chiefs. And if they would have met up in that Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 58, I believe that they would have beaten the Chiefs. I truly, soul-heartedly believe that. But that's why I have the Lions at number 3. Coming in at number 2, and the biggest threat to them in the AFC is, of course, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is one of the only quarterbacks in the NFL to have a win against Mahomes in the playoffs and to have a winning record against them alone. Joe Burrow has been cooking it up as of lately. And he had an MVP year last year that was only held back because of the defense. Could you imagine if they won that game in week 1 and then went into Burrowhead and beat the Chiefs? Could you imagine? They would have made the playoffs. And I'm telling you something right now. Travis Kelce may have said that they're not scared to face anybody. Well, I'm looking at the Chiefs, at the Bengals. The Bengals know what to do against the Chiefs. They are the Chiefs' kryptonite.
This boy's going into no, please don't.
They can challenge the Chiefs. They can challenge them in every way, shape, and form. They can challenge them. Joe Burrow knows what to do. Joe Burrow has that mentality of a killer instinct like Michael Jordan had. You have that killer mentality. And I'm looking at Burrow and that offensive scheme. If they have a defense next year, they possibly can make a Super Bowl. And that's why I have Joe Burrow and the Bengals at number 2. Coming in at number 1, the biggest threat to them in the NFC, no surprise here. The team that beat them in the Super Bowl, the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are obviously number 1 because they beat the Chiefs. They were the ones that smacked them around, back and forth, back and forth. They were the ones smacking them around. That's upside the dang head. They pounded the Chiefs. They destroyed them. They annihilated them. They beat them every way, shape, and form. They blew them out. And if you look back at the games that Mahomes has lost, the quarterback has outplayed him. Joe Burrow did it. Jalen Hurts did it. Tom Brady did it. And maybe at some point Josh Allen did, but he doesn't have the defense to get it done. When I look at the Eagles, they are the biggest threat to anyone. Anyone. Especially if you are the Chiefs.
Nice try. Your act's over. You may win this time. Well, this stinks.
This team, and back in the Super Bowl days, there were 6 teams. There's 6 teams that have not blitzed in the Super Bowl. All 6 of those teams were one of them. All 6 of those teams won, including the Seahawks from Super Bowl 48, my bad, 48, including that. If you cannot blitz, if you don't even have to blitz to get to the quarterback, that is saying something. That is absolutely saying something. You got the meat and potato brothers in that defensive line. That is what you got. That is what you got on your defensive side and your offensive side. This is what I'm looking at when I look at the Kansas City Chiefs. The one team that can knock them off if they meet in the Super Bowl again, it is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles coming out on top once again, which is why I have the Eagles as the number 1 biggest threat to the Chiefs. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Who do you guys think is the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs or in the season next year? Let me know in the comments what you guys think down below. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to do me a big favor and smash the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.